big deal. You know, that was really an accomplishment because he's trying.
In this video, you will be a virtual participant in a breakout session about differentiating instruction through the use of primary source material from the Library of Congress. In this presentation, led by teacher Rhonda Clevenson, you will learn how to use primary sources to invite students to ask questions, make discoveries, and come to a deeper understanding of the curriculum. As you will see, it is a new and interesting way to engage students and make learning interesting and enjoyable. Now let's join the session and Rhonda Clevenson.
As you come in, if you could grab some handouts there on the end, and of course some candy if you'd like some dessert. And I'd like for you to choose an image. Look at, there's a ton of images here. I'd like for you to choose an image that relates to something you teach, or relates to a personal experience you've had, or perhaps it's an image that leaves you with questions. So come on in and find an image that relates to you or you can connect to in some way. There's a folder and a white handout. And then you can settle yourself at a computer someplace. Excellent. Excellent. And we're looking for images that we can connect with, that we can make a connection to. So you can look all the way down. You can walk back and forth along the table till you find one. And you're looking for something that connects to something that you teach. Maybe it relates to a personal experience that you've had. Or perhaps it's an image that leaves you with questions. So we're looking for an image that you can make a connection with. And then you find a computer to settle yourself down. You can sit anywhere you like. As you settle yourself while we're waiting, you could log in, and the password information is here, as well as on the board behind me. Okay, terrific. Well, I'd like to welcome you all, and thank you again so much for making the journey across campus to join us today. My name is Rhonda Clevenson, and I'm a classroom teacher from the Arlington Public Schools who has been working on a Library of Congress Teaching with Primary Sources grant. And I've been on loan to the grant for 3 years, and this 4th year we started something new. We have so many materials from classroom teachers who have used Library of Congress resources from grades K through 12 across all subjects that we created a website called Primary Source Learning and a nonprofit organization called Primary Source Learning that's staffed primarily by classroom teachers like me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the resources that we have available at Primary Source Learning, and hopefully they'll be able to support you in differentiating instruction and teaching for understanding in the math classroom. And today we're going to look at very short, we call it 5-minute math, kinds of activities to engage students in reading documents from real life. Let's go over our goals for today. As I said, this is 5-minute math. We're going to engage learners through short activities that use the internet, computers, and a projector to practice math skills while reviewing history. So today, for our short time together, our big idea, when Carol was talking about a quality curriculum today, we're going to focus a lot on a quality curriculum. And today our big idea, our understanding goal for this hour and 15 minutes we have, is math provides a lens that helps us see our world. And we're going to pose a research question or an investigative question, and we're going to look at how is math used to comprehend real documents. And I'm going to have you use some knowledge. Participants, what are we going to be able to know and be able to do? Participants are going to use Library of Congress resources to widen and deepen students' understanding of the curriculum. We're going to facilitate differentiated instruction with the primary sources to address specific learner needs. And we're going to look at primary source analysis and how it reveals student understanding and builds literacy skill. And so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make connections between primary sources and prior knowledge. We're going to recognize differentiated instruction in terms of content, process, and product. We're going to use an understanding goal in a learning experience, and we're going to apply primary source inquiry strategies to your current setting. Okay, so our first activity is images draw you in. If I were doing this outside of this larger workshop, just as an activity, I might say our understanding goal is images draw us into a subject. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass out some bubbles of questions. And what I'd like you to do is to choose a question that would draw students into discussing the image. And you can choose a question or write your own, or start with a question and write another question that would draw students into a discussion about the image you've chosen. Okay? So look through the questions first and then add a question. So maybe how about if you come over here and, yeah, there we go.
It's the image we selected.
Uh-huh, yes. Do you, like 3 maybe want to work together? Okay, enough questions?
Clear on what are we doing with
You're
our
going to
questions?
choose a question that would draw students into a conversation about that image. And feel free to write a question, too.
To the picture that we selected. Well, yours listed.
I know, and that's why I
picture. There you go.
Oh, that's a neat one for that one.
That's a
That's
perfect
great. How
one
many
for
breaks?
shapes.
I
Like
guess some blank ones in case there
the
was
different
one
shapes,
that
because
you
that's
would-
when we
that
were
you
walking
would
along, so we
even
want more
consider
shapes.
posing to
And
your
then
students.
not that.
Yeah, isn't that a cool picture?
That is. Learning multiplication.
Ah, okay, that's a 7 times 16, yeah. 2 pound, there's a 2S-60, I don't know what that is representing.
Do you see how? I don't want to close it off for them.
I'm going to stop you there. Hopefully you've had a chance to share your picture and your question. We won't take time to share all of them, but I wonder if someone would just share their 2 pictures. Yes, sure.
I did this one with Abraham Lincoln and seeing if they could see any mathematical operations. Now, if I was going to do this one, I'd have to change it a little bit. It says multiplication table. I would take that out because it's a very interesting table. You'd have to see it, but you'd have to analyze what are they doing? What are the connections on the numbers here? If you took that off, it would take some time in groups to figure out that this is a multiplication table. It wouldn't jump out of because there's no multiplication symbols any place on it except for that. So that would be kind of a neat
Wouldn't that be fabulous?
connection
Yeah.
for them to figure out what's going on.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I can share.
I liked this because these are nature-created shapes, ice floating on the Moscow River, and how what the shapes we see in nature we recreate for ourselves. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's a very nice connection. Excellent. Great. So you can see it wouldn't be hard when using source documents to differentiate the content based on interest, based on background knowledge, other ways that other student needs that we might want to address with multiple pictures. We could assign them, the kids could choose them.
Right, I mean, this was an easy one for primary, and I actually came here wondering if I could find anything for primary, but, you know, this is just a much easier problem.
That's right. You can give them something where the problem is just easier and assign it to students so that everyone comes in. This is the idea for an engaging introduction activity. We looked at differentiated instruction and content. We didn't look at the process. What was our process here? We had the questions, right? When you looked through the packet of questions, did you see ways that questions might be combined to offer opportunities to address a variety of student needs that we might see in our class? Like your question, for example, really was designed to draw students in with what kind of a learning profile? With a learning profile that maybe the students had a strength in visual, right? Maybe someone who likes to draw, who has a very good visual memory. That student's going to be very drawn into, if that question is afforded the opportunity to invite students in. This is an introduction activity, so it's not really deep differentiation, but certainly an invitation for all learners. I want to show you where they are on the internet. primarysourcelearning.org. And I hope everybody can get in. Let's see how we do. primarysourcelearning.org. Once you're there, we're going to go to the green folder first today, and this is where our teaching materials are. And teachers, and I invite you to join us, please submit your ideas, and we just have collected ideas from about 600 teachers here, and you can search all grades and all subjects, so if you have a colleague, please, you can share the site and they might be able to find something too. We're going to search the collection in the green folder right now. And since we're interested in math today, what I'd like you to do is under subject, search just for math. And I want to show you where the images are that we just used in this activity. So I'm going to search by math, and I'm going to search the collection. And I'm going to hide my summaries so more titles show here. The first activity is called Images Draw You In. It's not specific for math. So if you searched under title, Images Draw You In, you'd find all these little bubbles if you wanted to use them for any kind of an activity. Also, you'd be able to print all of the images. But I selected images today that I thought lended themselves more to math. And so you'll see the collection of images that we used will come up first. And these are all the things that are back on the table. They don't have a lesson plan with them at the moment, so I hope that some of you will actually create a lesson with these images and submit it, and I'll show you how to do that before we go. But basically, you can see lessons that other math teachers have done, and you can find these images. And the thing that I wanted to show you about the green folder is when we're here, I'm going to pull up a learning experience. And when I click on the title, you'll see a couple of things at the bottom that I want to draw your attention to. The first, I'm going to start at the bottom and go up. The first thing is read field tests. I invite you and all of your friends, anybody, it's been really fun. If you use something from our website, please submit a field test. It takes about 5 minutes. And then it's made available for other teachers to see how teachers have used the lesson and what changes they would make. Teachers upload handouts that they would add to the lesson plan, and we're trying to make this site that's made and, by classroom teachers for classroom teachers so that we start where other people left off as opposed to always starting at these large digital archives, either the National Archives or the Library of Congress or the Smithsonian. All these museums, local museums, have these massive collections. But rather than starting from their homepage, maybe to start where another teacher has left off and then to visit the institution to add to your lesson. So these are field tests. Above it, you'll find the files that are required to implement the activity. And everything that I've shared with you today is formatted in Word and back front printing to print the way that you have it today with the information on the back. Another nice feature, if you're not interested in the lesson plan, is the slideshow. And you can view a slideshow, so I invite you to try a slideshow. And when you have a slideshow, this is just a fast way to share the items with the kids. If you want to get rid of the information so the kids don't know the title or the date or anything like that, you click on the I. And this is nice, but maybe I'd like to see the flags a little better. You can zoom in and you can move it around. So like you were saying with that mathematics table, I should have pulled that up, to get the title off so that the kids actually just look at it without having to put it in PowerPoint. I was watching teachers over the years having to put everything into PowerPoint to show it to the kids, and I thought, gee, there's got to be a faster way, that you could just grab something and use it. And so that's the purpose of this slideshow. If you find an item, that you're really interested in, and you want to find it at the Library of Congress, all you do is click on the title, and it'll take you right to the Library of Congress website. So it's a great way to find collections that might interest you or your students or connect to your subject. So this is the green folder. This is where lesson plans are, materials, and the infamous slideshow. The field tests. And we searched today by math. On the main search page, you can also see there's a lot of other ways to search. And one way to search is by differentiated instruction. Or by teaching for understanding. So if you're looking for lessons that use differentiated instruction, we've tried to tag them. And then under the analysis page on the tabs, you can see how the differentiated instruction took place, what kind of strategy the teacher used, and how they felt the lesson was differentiated. So you can also learn a little bit more about what teachers think and how they use differentiated instruction from our collection. So the first thing was images draw you in when you take an image and a question, right? We looked at the green folder for math activities. And now what we're going to do is look at another strategy using PowerPoint. So if you want to go a little further than the fast slideshow, this takes the slideshow one step further. So let's see what happens if we go a little further with the slideshow. And this strategy is called zoom in. And so most of our strategies, lots of teachers, we've worked with about 7,000 teachers in the last 3 years, submit them. So you could look, you could type in Zoom here and find them. We could sort by math and then Zoom, and we'd find only Zooms related to math. But if you wanted to share it like at a staff meeting, if you have to go back and share what you learned at this conference, with the whole staff, you might just go to activity collections up here. And there, we have collections of learning experiences by the strategy that's being used. And so I'm going to click on Zoom, and I'm going to get my Zooms that way. But I could have searched math if I wanted to come up with Zooms. And I want to share just 3 of them really quickly with you. And I'll hardly give you time to do it the way we do it in class. But I just want to share them with you so you can see we have some early childhood people all the way through secondary here. So let's see, could Zoom be used across grades? And what might teachers do if they were going to use Zoom? So I click on the lesson, and I'm going to scroll down to the materials. And then I'm going to open the show. So the question, the big idea here is, what do we measure? What do you think we're measuring? Growth? Other ideas? Okay. Do you change your hypothesis here, or do you think it's the same? What do you think we're measuring? Weight. What makes you say that? Good. Okay, we measure weight. How has measuring weight changed over the years? Okay, good. Okay. What could we be measuring here? Anybody want to venture a guess? Not enough information. Okay. How about now? Life expectancy? Good. Okay, excellent. Okay, this probably wouldn't come up in early childhood class. Okay, good. We measure days, months, and years. Excellent. Good. How has measuring days, months, and years changed, or has it? Okay, so you get kind of the idea. We can crop the picture so that we're not seeing it all, and we can pose a question. And this time she's going to look at measuring. And I'll just zip you through here. What do you think this is going to measure? Right, excellent. You know the curriculum. Good. Measuring is all around us. There's her big idea, right? So she's got her understanding goal in there to add a little depth. Can you give an example of where you've used measurement, right? And this is also an excellent strategy, both in teaching for understanding and differentiated instruction. In fact, I started with that same strategy when you came in today. What's the first thing I asked you to do? That did what? Not just pick a picture, there was criteria. That's right. It has to make a connection to you, right? So we want to invite students to make that connection, and that's what Carol was talking about today with differentiated instruction, but it's critical if we're going to build understanding. We have to know where they're coming in and get them to come in. Mm-hmm.
This is really exciting. If anybody is in the CFF, I see some of us are from Pennsylvania. If you're in the CFF, the Classrooms of the Futures grant, which is only for the high school, we have these polyvision boards now sitting up in the front of our room that the introduction to every, obviously we do it every day, but the introduction to some lessons that you're going to teach and just start with a picture, because all we have to do is have this computer. I can project that onto my screen with the way my computer hooks up to the polyvision board. So it's really, this tool will like flip out my technology person when I get back over to the other building. She's going to be like beside herself for the next week.
Look at the activity collections and see if you can find some that interest you under Zoom. So I went activity collections, I clicked on Zoom, and you'll see art, counseling. You don't have to limit yourself to math if you don't want to. If you teach secondary, I highly recommend the logarithms. It's Jefferson's attempt, I think you have it up, to see when the population would double. And another one that I like an awful lot is this geometry and architecture. And you can see, I like to look at these just to see how teachers have cropped the images and what they've done with it. But you'll see all of them always, a distinctive feature of our materials is that we have our research question, how is math used in life? And we're always going to connect it somewhere to an understanding goal to add some depth and context. But I think she did a beautiful job. This is geometry and architecture. You can pull it up on your own screen.
How are you getting to the question portion?
This teacher added them. Okay. So we added them in PowerPoint. And I'm so glad that you asked that. So I'll show you how, this is how I like to do it. And let's see if, you may find a different way. But I go always to primary source learning now because there's so many resources there. It's only a year and a half old, but there's so many resources there. I like to start where somebody else left off. Now, if I want to make something brand new, a lot of times I go to our yellow folder right here. And I'm going to browse. So you can go ahead and do that with me. Go to the yellow folder and let's browse. This does not show the lesson plans. It just shows primary sources and that other teachers have used. It's not all of the Library of Congress or all of any collection. It's only things that are used by teachers. And now I'm going to go to math. And that's going to show me all of the items that have been used in a lesson plan, because I really don't want to read all those lesson plans. But I just want to see the items that teachers have used. Maybe I could use those too. Now I'm going to click up here where it says all 86 collections. We don't load the images because it takes a long time. So you have to click on it to get the images to load by collection. But we don't mind. Let's just say load all, because I want to see them all. And it might take a few minutes to load them on your computer, but what you're going to do now is scroll down, and you can see all the different items that other classroom teachers have used. So go ahead and keep scrolling. And I hope maybe you can find yet another image, maybe something. You'll definitely see what you've already found, for sure. But maybe you'll find some other images. So you want to go to Browse. And then I chose math on the right-hand side in subject, but you could choose something else as well. And if you teach something other than math, you might want to look at that too. See if you can find an image that interests you. Once you've found an image that interests you, I click on it, and the image will get large, and it'll give me information about the image. Next week, the slideshow will be here too. The slideshow's new, so it's working its way across the site, so it's scheduled to roll out next week. So if you visit our site next week, you'll be able to get to the little slideshow right here. Here's the bibliographic information on the item, and this will tell you what learning experiences teachers have used this item in. So there's a learning experience called calculating % of increase, where someone used this with car sales, I'm sure, looking at the past and today and changes in cost. But this gives me the item. When I click on the item, I'll go to the Library of Congress website, and then I'm going to right-click on my item, and I'm just going to copy the image, because I'm going to insert it into my PowerPoint. And then I'm going to go to Start in Programs, and I won't give you, we don't have enough time to totally do this, but you'll get a sense of it. So if you can follow along, great, and if you get lost, just watch. But we're going to go to Microsoft Office, and I'm going to open up PowerPoint. And now, I just get rid of these things for now. I'm going to paste my picture in. And it's going to be very simple. Now all we have to know is two things. One is I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to do, I want duplicate slide. There, Insert, and then I'm going to go to duplicate slide. I'm going to click on the image, and when I click on the image, this little toolbar shows up, the picture toolbar, and I want the crop tool, which looks like 2 corners. So the only 2 things you have to remember is duplicate slide, insert duplicate slide, and the crop tool. You don't want, see how it has these little circles? If you manipulate the shape there, it will actually manipulate the shape. We don't want to do that. We just want to crop it. We want to hide some of the information. So we're going to take our crop tool, and I could start just here with the numbers maybe. And make them guess, you know, what it is, maybe. And then I'm going to do insert duplicate slide, and I'm going to get my crop tool. Each time you have to grab your crop tool, and then I'll reveal a little bit more. Insert duplicate slide, crop tool, reveal a little more. Yeah, it's not that hard. Insert duplicate slide, crop tool, reveal a little more. And you can see in just those few minutes, if I view this, I've made a zoom in, right? So it's just insert, duplicate slide, crop tool. And then, of course, if you want to add text, you insert a text box and add your questions. What do you guys think of zoom in? Yeah, it's hard not to engage the kids with the zoom in. Now, is that differentiated? No. Zoom in is not differentiated, generally speaking, especially if the kids are shouting out in a large group like that. And that's when it's most fun, when they're shouting out. Now, if I wanted to differentiate it, is there an opportunity for that? If I had a very diverse class and I wanted to do something with it, but I had this PowerPoint, where in instruction could I do it? The content is the PowerPoint, so
Well, you could differentiate based on interest. I mean, as an exit ticket the day before, if you're going to try to introduce something, what kind of interest do they have?
Yeah, you know, that's a great one, because I've seen teachers make like maybe 3 of them and give them different mystery titles, mystery 1, mystery 2, mystery 3, and find out something about the kids in an exit card and say, you guys over here, take them to the computer lab and have them do it. Not as a class.
Because we have laptops in our rooms now, 25 instead of 25, so you could have it set up already, actually.
Yep.
The interest groups, and you could get it done at 4 or something.
Exactly. You guys are here, you guys are here. Excellent. And what goes really nicely with that is the problem is if they're doing it in small groups or individually, do you know if the kids have really answered the question? No. So you have to have the kids write an answer to the question. So you have to have a worksheet. But the worksheet is wonderful because that affords what opportunity for us? It's assessment, and I put the vocabulary for my English language learners that I want them to use in their answer in their worksheet. So I give everybody the worksheet, but the worksheet for my English language learners always has the vocabulary that I expect them to use, and they know the words are there on the right, and they must use those in their answer. And not only my English, sometimes other students need that as well, or it helps them. And then sometimes I want to extend some students, and I want them to use different vocabulary. Or I want them to answer an extension question because they're going to finish too fast on me. And then this group over here is going to be done, and I'm going to be still working, and that's going to be a problem. So that group over there, I'll give an anchoring activity on each question on the worksheet. So the worksheet is where I differentiate for the zoom in, or making multiples. What have you noticed so far about the Library of Congress resources, the primary sources? Any surprises? That they existed, right? And that there's 15 million of them is kind of shocking. And our tax dollars have paid for them all to be digitized, so yeah. Good, so they exist. Any other surprises?
Just thinking about using them in different ways. I mean, you know, I don't know. I guess I just associated always using it for a research project. I never really thought about using it, you know, in so many different areas of the curriculum.
Isn't it amazing? It's
for different
amazing.
ages, too. It's great.
Yeah. I think teachers were surprised to find the connections between math skills and historical documents. And they were delighted to see that other teachers have gone before them, and there's collections available on the internet that teachers can build and share and use each other's work. I think that teachers saw today the connection between teaching for understanding and differentiated instruction, and how primary sources add to the curriculum such quality and depth and opportunity. And we did it in 5 minutes, so it was very usable.